everyone, we are live here on YouTube doing the stream. What is up to the 20 people watching us live in the chat? Um, guys, we're doing this data dump. I have a collection going right now of PDFs, papers, books, manuals, documents, all the key information, just everyone gather up everything key that they've ever found online, store it all in one place, and we're gonna bring it all together. Well, I've already brought a lot of really cool stuff together, and there might be more stuff out there that we missed or haven't found yet. But what I'm trying to get done here is either I got kind of key people on my list who are gonna get a flash drive in the mail with everything on it. And that's one of the first things I want to do. But I'm also going to, I need help with people who have servers or ways that we can host it. Because I want to host this in multiple places, so in case they take one down, it's kind of like arms of a fucking octopus. They can chop as many arms off, but it's just going to keep, new ones are going to keep reappearing, like the heads of a hydra. And this is kind of, what the fuck is up with my fucking voice here now? Alright, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Alright, I replugged my voice, my mic in, and I'm looking at my audio, and everything looks like it's working. So, if you can't hear it, the voice still sounds like an alien. Everybody's telling me my voice sounds like a fucking alien. Alright, it sounds good now. Now it's working because I unplugged and reset my fucking mic. I don't know why that happens. Alright, so the whole issue is we are trying to get multiple servers set up. So we want people who have servers or have hosts to basically host these files, so we can host them in multiple different places. I also want anyone who wants access to this, if they want access to this, send me your address, or re-email me at thealienscientist@gmail.com. I'm going to check all the people that originally donated to Hover Brothers and anyone who had an address associated with their donation. I'm going to try and send them a copy of all our files, because we're doing a massive data dump. Want to get stuff that disappears off the web back up and online. So I've been doing some really interesting research lately, and I remember a couple months ago we were talking about Wheeler and how close Wheeler was to all this stuff. John Archibald Wheeler, that is. If people don't know the Wheeler that I'm talking about. I'm talking about John Archibald Wheeler. We're talking about the foundations of all this stuff. Like, where did it happen? How did it all? We'll go back to the beginning, 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago, with this guy named Albert Einstein, who basically cordoned us, told us that we can't escape the solar system ever, with his declaration that the speed of light is the fastest speed ever, and there's no speed faster than that in the universe, and nothing can ever travel faster than the speed of light. He thereby damned us to being basically an Earth species only. We'll never be able to reach the stars, and this is the excuse in the physics that is this repeated often and over again by all these physicists who denounce the realist, whether alien life could be here at all. They say, well, it couldn't get here, Einstein, this is the theory that's reigned for 100 years. And I was just watching a couple things. Quantum gravity is definitely key. That Susskind thing. I've been looking more into this geometric unity theory with Eric Weinstein, and some of the things that he's experience. Um, this is very interesting stuff. I'm digging more into this the more I find, but we've been going back like to the origins of all this. Albert Einstein creates this theory of relativity. It's hailed as it's picked up and basically laid down as the ground floor, the foundation of what is of modern physics. This is the two most these are the two pillars of all of modern physics and their philosophy of the universe. Our current model of the universe is general and special relativity and quantum mechanics, the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics and relativity are like the two friggin' standing pillars that hold up the standard model and hold up all of physics right now. Kind of like Bob Lazar and Roswell are like the two main pillars of ufology that we've sort of held to. And I've already knocked down Lazar. Well, I haven't knocked it down completely. I must say that. I've done a very poor job of knocking down Lazar. And I hope to redeem myself when I do make this documentary and put this documentary out. Because, man, the stuff I've put together on Bob Lazar, I've been researching this case for so long. We're going to knock down that pillar of ufology. I don't think that I'm going to be necessarily the one to knock down any pillars of of modern physics or knock this whole pillar down. But I'm definitely tuned into all the right people who are doing that and are working on that. Okay, and it's not Ken Wheeler of the electric universe theory. Sorry, I know he talks a lot of crap about Einstein and stuff, but I would recommend that if people want to learn physics and learn the physics of electromagnetism, learn it from the people who invented it, like Michael Faraday. Learn it from the people like James Clerk Maxwell. Read the original. A lot of the math and all this stuff was figured out in like 17th, 18th century, 18th, 19th century. Sorry, 18th, 19th century. 17th century was huge for a lot of the math foundations with Euler and Cauchy. Between Euler and Cauchy, we've had a lot of the math that we've needed for this stuff was developed in the 18th century with Cauchy and Euler. Very very foundational stuff. Want to talk about kind of theories of quantum mechanics and relativity, going back to all this, because back to the day, I've always been talking about like, oh, well, we're trying to basically figure out ufology and physics both in one here on this channel. It's kind of like a double whammy question. Are we alone in the universe? Probably not. Is there visibility? There are other technologies that these things could be flying around. We don't see them. There's lots of other brilliant explanations for the Fermi paradox of why there should be all this intelligent life, but why we don't see it. There's lots of very interesting explanations for the Fermi paradox, the apparent contradiction between the lack of evidence and the high probability of there being extraterrestrial life. Mainly the one being the prime directive that post-warp, post enlightenment or disclosure or whatever you want to call this thing that's going to happen, post disclosure, enlightenment or ascension, or when the point at which we figure out our own source code, whatever you want to call it. That those civilizations that have figured that out are not allowed to basically make contact with people with other less advanced civilizations that haven't figured it out, and that's an interesting idea and concept in and of itself that kind of could explain why we feel or why we think we're so alone in the universe, but maybe we're not. But so there's lots of different theorists. You look up the Solvay conference. Right. Let's look up that Solvay conference and all those physicists, that you see in these pictures of like the people who basically created and laid the foundations for all this stuff back in 1911, the early turn of the century. Very interesting group of people, and why Einstein got picked to be the one who's the center of it all, and we kind of ignore all the other work of these other people is kind of interesting. Einstein, of course, later in his life, this was 1911, I think. Where was his was 1914 the general theory of relativity that came like after all this stuff, and later there's a lot of problems with Einstein's model that were kind of like worked out and fixed, and these other things, and they're not really fixed. We've kind of just created this renormalization and these other formalisms to kind of show like how they fit with modern cosmology. We've added these terms. One of them is the dark matter term. We're searching for this stuff called dark matter, and we can't really find it. We haven't really found evidence for it, but there's millions and tons and millions of dollars going into finding this other stuff, and it's almost like this whole field has been derailed and pushed down a wrong path on purpose. And I'm going to entertain that theory a little bit and investigate that here in the next couple of months on, whether there was anyone that figured this out before and whether it was covered up and, and whatnot. Because this is an interesting experience that Eric Weinstein shares at about 20 minutes in this video right here. He starts talking about how he basically wrote these equations out 10 years ago or so and posted them on this board, and nobody looked at them, and then he saw the same equations being presented at MIT years later, and people were like starting to take his ideas seriously a little bit now, but like they hadn't before. And it's sort of this weird dogma that's going on with the whole field of physics that you can't question. You can't question the modern um, Roman Catholic Church or whatever you want to call it. It's just it's kind of crazy. But one of the guys that worked with Albert Einstein was a fellow named John Archibald Wheeler, and Wheeler. I'm looking back through the history of this, and I'm finding some of these papers and some of the stuff, but some of it's missing. I can't find these papers. They're gone from the literature. I wrote to the journals about this 1967, 66, 67, 68. Right around this period, I'm finding a whole new level of information coming out of this. And I mentioned John Archibald Wheeler with his quantum eraser experiments and some of these other theories that he had for teleporters and other stuff. Oh boy, hold on. Give me 1 second. Why is the matter, Joe? I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyways, sorry about that. I hope everyone's still here. Looks like my video freezed up. Hello, everyone's still there. Here we go. So anyways, sorry about that. I'm back. Wheeler was a very interesting guy, and I knew that if there's something back in the history of this, it's got to be connected to Wheeler. And I was looking for the other scientists, of some physicists that we don't really hear about, don't really know about, and I found him actually by coming across this paper about it was a patent from the U.S. Patent Office about for this guy Henry William Wallace, and it's for gravity shielding or a gravitational field, producing a gravitational field by rotating mercury. Two counter-rotating mercury drums are in the patent, and it creates a gravity-magnetic field. And he cites a couple different researches in physics in here, and one of the things he talks about is this 1966 paper by this guy Bryce Dewitt. And I started looking up Bryce Dewitt, and I'm not sure if they put this name in there because they, again, if this was an insert or if this was a legitimate discovery. But yeah, my screen's fucking frozen, huh? What the fuck is going on here, dude? Hello. All right. I'm
stopped and restarted the stream because it looks like we're getting fucked with hardcore. I can't fucking stand this bullshit, dude. Every time I fucking want to do a podcast now, and they're gonna fuck with my podcast and fucking and jam me up and fucking have hackers fucking with my shit. This is fucking how you know I'm on the fucking real shit, bro. You see what the fuck is happening? I'm not doing this. I'm not fucking. Hello. All right, I'm back. Hopefully, we fix this. Because my stream's been fucking retarded, and they love fucking with me, especially when I'm talking about real shit, like Bryce Dewitt, who I found through this patent by Henry William Wallace on rotating mercury. That's from 1968. We were looking for stuff related to this TR3B, which was apparently a craft of three-engine craft with a rotating mercury plasma centrifuge engine that negated gravity, that was built back in the 70s. These programs from back in the 70s. These are some of the SAPs that some people in the UFO community seem to be going after. This is right around the time period we've been bungling in and trying to figure out what the fuck has really happened here. And my approach has been, well, what happened in physics? What was happening in physics? Where's the published literature? Where's the work? Where's the action? This is why I don't believe the the Nazi Bell stuff so much, because I couldn't really find this physics or anything talking about this kind of the physics of why this Nazi Bell experiment would even be conducted. What were they testing? I can't find anything pre 1940s, about this really, except for maybe, I haven't found anything yet, but this John Archibald Wheeler guy definitely was, really in on it. And now we found this Bryce Dewitt fellow who died in 2004. Very interesting story and very interesting set of work. And won the Dirac Prize in 1987. Won the APS's Einstein Prize in 2005 after his death. He worked with Kip Thorne, Kip Thorne. If you don't know who Kip Thorne is, Kip Thorne helped design like the LIGO experiments that are detecting these gravitational waves now from that distant supernova event. So these guys are well-connected individuals, but this Bryce fellow, if he was, I have to get a hold of this paper from this, and I'm still working on getting a hold of it. There's 2 papers mentioned in here by Dewitt, and I've written to both journals trying to get copies of this, and I'm waiting to hear back. So we'll see what happens with that. And in the meantime, I'm going to go around and see if I can't locate a copy of this paper some other way, if this paper even exists, if it's real, or if this is a, manufactured dead end. I don't think so, because it just seems like too much fits in. And then when I go and I found this. The Wheeler-DeWitt equation is a field equation, and it's part of a theory that attempts to combine mathematically quantum mechanics and general relativity. It's a step towards a theory of quantum gravity. So quantum gravity is the motherfucking key to unifying physics, to creating anti-gravity drives, and to getting off this planet, to solving so much. Quantum gravity is the absolute fucking key. Leonard Susskind just released a video 2 weeks ago talking about why quantum gravity is key. If you want to watch that, give you some background primer and some real insight into the real task here, the real question, the real information. But the question I'm having, like we're leaning to this at the forward level, listening to all the physicists and the mathematicians and guys like Eric Weinstein and Leonard Susskind who are pushing the envelope of modern physics and our current academic understanding. But at the same time, we're questioning whether academia wasn't, kind of misled all along, or whether someone in private figured this out decades ago and just kept it secret, or whether or not there's been an international conspiracy to kind of push academia off a fucking cliff and in the wrong direction since the 1960s to or even earlier to try to like derail this stuff. Now, it's possible that they were doing, a lot of experiments, even earlier than 1960s related to this. But again, I don't I haven't been able to piece together the scientific background on the theories, because the theories of quantum gravity and ways to test a lot of these ideas didn't come about until, this is where we first start seeing them. So I'm trying to trace back the academic literature to see if, there were any people that kind of figured this out that were kind of just shelled or suppressed, or swept under the rug. So very interesting stuff to research the background of all this, man. If we can pull something together from here, and I mean, this is going to be disclosure in it's going to be disclosure if we can pull all this stuff together. It will really reveal. We need to figure out who this Bryce Dewitt guy was. Okay, we got to figure out who this William Wallace guy was. Okay. And do more investigations into this. And I've been doing some digging, and I want to share some shit with you guys, which is going to blow your fucking minds. So, I wasn't going to share this originally before tonight, but I'm going to now. I'm definitely going to. So what I did was I looked up this guy, William Wallace, and he's from Valley Forge, PA. All right. Come on, and why is this jamming up on me now? So Valley Forge, PA. Okay. Here's Valley Forge. This is where the guy lived that made this patent in 1968. He was from Valley Forge. So what I did was I started, looking up every aerospace company that existed near there. Maybe this was a throw off. Maybe this was, something else. And I'm looking up just possible candidates for a location where they built this stuff. You know what I mean? Because they have to have a location, a secret location where they built this shit. Was it an aerospace company? Was it something else? Was it, like a private thing? I found a couple leads, and I want to just point out one of them, the best one I found so far in this area, because this might be a total misdirection. They might have just made up a fake guy, William Henry Wallace from fucking Braveheart, and stuck him here when he's really from California, so that nobody would look at wherever they were really building and testing these triangles out of. But I'd like to look back in the 70s for UFO sightings with the MUFON people and see if we have a large number of sightings in this general area. But all right, give me a second. Hold on. One motherfucking interruption. It's not. It's another. All right. Valley Forge, PA. All right. I have an abandoned factory. Okay. If you go up here, the State Game Lands number 234. This is a place called the Linfield Industrial Park. You guys paying attention? 91 people watching. I get fucking constant interruptions. I'm so goddamn sorry. It's just fucking. But this place, old facility, massive warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. It was apparently a whiskey distillery and a whiskey plant. And these were warehouses to store the whiskey barrels of all the whiskey they made in this, facility. But there's several buildings here which are, there's cameras here, I guess, blocking. I've read a bunch of blogs talking about this site and talking about this place. But it's the perfect kind of location. It's the exact same size facility and the exact kind of layout. It's on a dead end peninsula, well isolated. Two ways in, two ways out, maybe minimally. It's right near a power station There's Limerick generating stations literally right here, so they got plenty of electrical power and power to run things off of. This would be ideal location for a secret site, and it was a whiskey factory, so there was reasons to have security, reasons to keep people out of the area, and a perfectly legitimate excuse for the operations or the scientists or the lab people or whatever else was going on there, during the time. So anyways, I'd like to do some more research into this place. I found that it was a whiskey place, and there was a couple other facilities and companies that own the place, but it seems massive for a whiskey distillery, and these buildings and everything that's going on here. I don't know. It just seems like a good candidate, So maybe there's something there. Maybe there's not. Love to see some people investigating that. Some local people get in there and find out what's in those locked up buildings, and see if it's really distillery equipment and stuff for making whiskey, or if it's, also bring some mercury test kits in the fucking place and test around for mercury and see if they can find mercury contamination and traces of mercury around the place, because that would tell you right away that they're not making fucking whiskey. But anyways, we're looking for a facility. We're looking for, companies and everything. If this was a legit thing that happened with this, this guy made this patent and it went somewhere classified, and they built fucking TR-3B flying triangles out of this tech back in the 60s and 70s. There's got to be evidence. There's got to be a record. There's got to be a location where they did this. There's got to be money. There's got to be all these things. And if they exist, they will be found. And they will be uncovered, especially, with 50 years later, and people looking in the right places. If this exists, we'll find it. So keep the UFO community searching some of the right places there. I think it's great. I've been telling people, ignore Bob Lazar if it's in the mainstream. If it's in the New York Times, if it's on the mainstream, it's bullshit. It's already covered, and there's nothing there to look into. It's not the real secret shit. So look into other people, other things. So one of the things I've been telling people for months is like, here's the real Bob Lazar. Look at a guy named Bernard Haish. He really went to Caltech. He really did serve as the senior staff physicist for Lockheed Martin, and do a theoretical background for all of Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, warp drive theory and stuff. All this stuff. He wrote papers with Hal Puthoff, and then just recently he's been connected to a crash recovery retrieval kind of thing. There's some document that just came out. Hold on, I gotta figure out this. So he made some comment on somewhere from UFO skeptics. So he said something that was related to some crash retrieval SAP or something related to this. So Bernard Haish has got to be, I've telling people to look into these real scientists, and they're starting to look into the real scientists, and they're starting to actually find real shit, which is amazing, because they, 15 years of 30 years of looking and investigating Bob Lazar, and no one's really turned up shit, because nothing's there. It's a fucking red herring. It's a false. He's a goddamn liar. He made the whole thing up to cover up for something that had happened in his past in 1986, and if he doesn't come forward and spill the beans on it soon, and just tell people what the fucking truth is, I'm gonna make this documentary before the end of the year, and I'm gonna expose him for who he really is, and do it for him. So I just hope he's watching and his people are watching. Just let Bob know that his time's fucking up. And we're done with the lies. We're done with the fake physicists. We're done with the fake, programs. We're after the real shit now, and we're coming for them. We're coming for them, and they're not fucking gonna be distracted. We're not gonna be fucking misled this time. We're after the real shit. And if it's not here, in 1968 and all this stuff, we're still gonna find it. With what's going on with Wolfram, Leonard Susskind, and Eric Weinstein in the top minds in physics right now, because these people are not fucking stupid, and we're close to figuring it out and cracking this puzzle, and it's gonna be glorious when that happens, because we're gonna do away with Albert Einstein's ridiculous notion that c is the ultimate speed limit for the universe. It's not. Quantum entanglement travels faster. There is ways to break the speed limit. There is ways to travel interstellar. There is ways to get out of the, the solar system we're locked in. So people really need to start looking into the real physicists, the real scientists, and the real programs, and we're going to find this shit and we're going to uncover it. And I got a massive data dump coming here. I'm hoping to do it on July 4th. That was my plan, was 4th of July fucking weekend, right? Independence Day. We dropped this huge data dump. It's a lot of good stuff that I've collected over the years, and I'm getting even more stuff from other people, and we're trying to put together a big friggin' thing. So when it does dump, it's like it's legit, like the package that people have been waiting for or have wanted, where it's going to be like it will take you a year to go through all the material in there, at least a year. It'll take you several years probably if you haven't not familiar with everything already. So we're and it's really going to be a concentrated. I kind of want to filter out a lot of the bullshit and take like the best people that I can find and get our best of the best, the best research from the best minds and the best people, and put it all in one place on one database where everyone can download. I think that will be massive in getting this movement kicked off, and getting 2020. I don't think I've known anyone that's really done anything like this, with a data dump and trying to put information out there like that. So hopefully it works. We're gonna do a couple different ideas. We're looking at every different cloud program, Dropbox, every different file sharing program that we can use. We're trying to do a little bit on all these different levels. So if anyone has any assistance that they can help, or a server that they can set up temporarily where I could log into, FTP these files to, or anything like that, please email me or get involved in the network, thealienscientist@gmail.com. We're getting lots of good people contacting me already. I've gotten a lot of interesting inquiries and also contacts in the last couple weeks. So keep those coming. Keep reaching out. And if I haven't gotten back to you, reach out to me again, because sometimes they get blocked in the mix, or lost in the flood. So, anyways, magic angle graphene, the superconductor bilayer graphene twisted at this magic angle. Really cool new stuff coming out about that. And again, this is the ultimate goal, I believe, is the coherent propulsion with negative mass fields and a photon lattice. It's basically these nonlinear optical materials, or NLOs, nonlinear optical materials, and also left-handed metamaterials. So nonlinear optics is an entire branch of physics. A lot of cool stuff going on there. This is the way we break. We use nanotechnology to break quantum gravity, basically, and to figure out what the heck quantum gravity is, what gravity is, how to break it. But basically, we need nanotech and nonlinear optics, and it's a trick of light. We have to see the light. Enlightenment is about seeing the light and understanding that, if we can control and manipulate light in the most purest forms, we will control all of matter and energy. We will control the simulation, or the whatever you want to call it, the quantum computer that the universe is, and be able to manipulate and interact directly with the universe itself, doing phasing, warping, and all that cool stuff. And it will be a whole new age of physics. And we're quickly coming there, but it's not going to be, there's no disclosure. You can throw that fucking idea of, government disclosure, they're going to be in this disclosure, throw it out the window. It's never going to happen. If they come up with a disclosure, it's going to be some bullshit, okay? Especially if it's, on the level of the stuff that's been passed around the UFO community lately. Hopefully my fucking dump, when that happens, really it shakes people awake and fucking spreads. Because I'm just tired of all the bullshit and all the nonsense. We need to get the fuck off this planet. We need to build alien technology, and we need to get to space. And anyone who says it can't be done or wants to stand in the way is going to get fucking run the fuck over like a steamroller, and they're going to get fucking flattened. And I'm sorry, you're not gonna be on the right side of history. You're gonna be forgotten, or fucking, you're gonna be, one of those names that people, just laugh at or use as a butt end of a joke. Okay, so I'm not going to be. History will remember me as a visionary, and they're not going to remember me as all the fucking crazy shit I said, or all the fucking, maybe they will. But again, it's going to be the real stuff that comes through in the future that when this shit happens, they're going to look back and be like, well, who was a part of it and who was fucking fighting against it? And I hope all the people fighting against it get their fucking DNA taken to make sure they're not fucking reptilian aliens working for a fucking alien agenda to keep humans back from their rightful place and of evolution among the stars. I don't know, but there's definitely some shit that needs to happen. There's some fucking crazy forces at work in this world because there's so much negative bullshit and crap going on, and especially with this virus and everything else related to that. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I don't even want to get into it. It's like, yeah, the government has a fucking bioweapon and they're killing people, lots of them, and that's their only option left. I mean, look at the exponential function. Look at what's going on right now with population, and it's no wonder that they're the billionaires on this planet, like Bill Gates, are resorting to the options, the last fucking option they have left, which is population control. So it's not like it's fucking. It's not like it's to be outside or unexpected. You know what I mean? It's just they're doing what naturally is to be expected. The exponential function, the most dangerous video you'll ever see. Yeah, this guy, Thinkwell, and this whole thing. No, that's not the one. This guy right here, Dr. Albert Bartlett. This one. Watch that video, and all these elites understand this, but they don't understand any of this shit. Either they don't understand this shit, or their heads too much on Einstein of the mainstream academic community, or they're fucking reptilians and they're holding us back on purpose. That's the only thing I can think of, because it's just like we're at the fucking end. We're at the end of the road. It's like we're gonna be idiocracy before we know it. There's too many just fucking retards overpopulating and control and like just flooding the earth. This is exponential function. Yeah, we're gonna eventually kill ourselves like bacteria eating its food supply and dying in a pool of its own feces. That's what's probably gonna happen. And their solution, Bill Gates' solution, is to fucking, yeah, we can create bioweapons, whether it's Bill Gates doing it or whoever, the people he's connected with through the Agenda Event 201. But that's the only solution that they think there is to fucking cull off huge portions of the population and get the population under control and figure it out. They don't realize that we don't have to stay on Earth. We can go and populate the stars if we just you invested those billions, instead of investing those billions in vaccines. If you invested those billions in fucking companies like mine. If you gave me a fucking $1 million, what I could do with $1 million overnight, oh my God. These people have fucking more money than God. It just makes me want to fucking throw up. It makes me want to climb a fucking clock tower with an AR-15 and fucking, or just go on a killing spree. It just fucking, it makes you just want to go insane, because how the fuck do they have ungodly amounts of money and they're using it to depopulate the fucking planet and kill us all with bioweapons, instead of fucking investing in stuff to get us off this planet? It's madness. It makes you just want to fucking explode. It's like, how the fuck do these billionaires get away with this shit, and how are they this fucking stupid that we got fucking Elon Musk on Twitter, talking, his comments on space travel and warp drive and aliens. It's like, dude, I love this. I love this guy. He's the best billionaire out there on the fucking planet. But Jesus, quit playing with your fucking rockets, dude. Get with the fucking program, dude. If just one of you billionaire fucks threw a little bit of fucking attention to this or money at it, dude, like, think of how much further we'd be if this was done 10 fucking years ago. And it's not going to get done now. It's not going to get done for 10 fucking years until it's going to be too fucking late at that point. By the time these fucking, these rich fucks with more money than God wake up to what the fuck is really going on in this country, it's going to be too fucking late. What is going on in this world? Not just this country, it's the world. This is not just America that's impacted by what's going on here. Every billionaire on the planet. SpaceX will be bankrupted overnight, which is probably why maybe Elon knows what the fuck's going on, and he's playing this game on purpose because he knows this is like, it's gonna kill his cash cow. Same with Bill Gates. Where's the billionaires' control and their money going to be when everyone has free energy and like this technology? I don't, you know, there's some bigger fucking agendas at play here with the whole thing, and it's just time to fucking disclose. It's time to invest the money in the real science to get this shit out. I just insanity. What is going on in this fucking world? Pre-crime. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna climb a clock tower with a fucking machine gun. Like, I didn't get that from Full Metal Jacket. All right. Like, that idea came. That idea was real pre-planning of crime. I didn't just pull that fucking thought randomly from a line in my repertoire of things I've heard other people say in the past. So, yeah. Okay. Fuck them. Let's take every one of my angry fucking rants and take it out of context, please. So and focus and make that the entire focus. So, but anyways, fuck that. It's just insanity what is going on, dude. And if I didn't think my life would be better spent fucking doing this, maybe I would climb a clock tower with a fucking assault rifle, if that's all I felt I could do in the fucking world. But I feel like I can do so much more than effective, so much more effective for me to sit here and try to learn these things and educate other people and try to sway the fucking herd away from the herd of lemmings running towards this Bob Lazar cliff and these fucking other cliffs of ufology and they're just dead end streets. They're just showing people like, no, there's a light over here. This is where you should be looking. This is where we need to be looking. In the real physics realm, where other physicists are too afraid or to because they haven't completely fucked over their careers by getting involved with this already. Like I did 15 years ago and threw my entire career as a physicist away to research this shit. And they're not ready to do that, to get involved with any of this research or get behind it. But, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to break this fucking ground and not be afraid to stick their neck out, not be afraid to venture down these paths. Because normal physicists, they have careers and they have all this, they have too much to sacrifice and too much to be able to do what I do. And that's why I do what I do, is because others can't, because they're stuck in a fucking system where they can't. So, oh shit. All right, using reptilians. All right, we got a couple people here. Let me try to see if anyone chant Jeremiah Geranian and Chris Bounds both sent some money. If you guys have any questions, please ask it in the live chat. I'll try my best to get to your questions. Could these entities have the keys to a post-scarcity society despite the laws of thermodynamics and conservation of mass energy? Oh, absolutely. All right, I've already pointed out several potential technologies which, even with mass energy conservation laws and thermodynamics, that they still work with our like physics, and they still have lots of potential, like low energy nuclear reaction. Okay, what's called the new name for the rebranding of what was once called cold fusion. Okay, cold fusion. Very interesting story with this. The two leading electrochemists of the time, Martin Fleischmann and Stanley Pons, in 1989, came out with this report of excess heat in these experiments. Now, they were very careful about their experiments and their measurements of heat, and so have the scientists been in the 30 years, since this all happened, this kind of research has gone underground where lots of other scientists, including Spay scientists, found traces of tritium, other products of fusion found in the reaction. The only thing they're not finding are these high energy gamma rays, which, according to the physics, these high energy gamma rays should have been produced in these cold fusion experiments, and those high energy gammas should have killed the scientists working on it if they had really created a type of this type of heat, hydrogen, or deuterium, hydrogen, or deuterium fusion in these experiments. They would have produced that. So obviously, something is going on in these experiments, which takes those high energy gamma rays and dissipates them another way. Now, that's obviously what has to be going on for this to work. Is it bremsstrahlung? Radiation. I'm trying to figure out but there's basically there's a couple different physics models which could account for what's going on in these experiments, which would account for why you could still have fusion but not observe these high energy gammas being released. Um, there's a couple different theories on that. One is that there's a fractional breakdown of that released energy somehow. That quantized energy is released in some other manner, where it's radiated in a broken form, where it kind of creates a chain. I have some information. I'm forgetting the name of this. It's not bremsstrahlung, I don't think, but there's another type of radiation that happens where you could basically break down the spectrum into other discrete pieces. The other option is that it's released to the lattice as a phonon, and there's interesting phenomena that occur in these experiments, including super waves, seem to activate the effect. They're able to use these super waves. And these super waves seem to activate the effect. So they basically take a super high frequency wave and put that in the background on top of the carrier signal, and that seems to increase the effect, which kind of leads to another more to the theory that what's happening in this experiment is there's some type of phonon or lattice vibration of energy with going on at the nanoscale, which is causing this energy to emit from the system, these gammas to basically leak out as phonons or high frequency vibrations, which are dissipated or to the lattice itself, which is why this Mossbauer, sorry, not bremsstrahlung, Mossbauer. Boom, yes. So Mossbauer effect will show how this, you can basically have recoilless nuclear resonance fluorescence. It shows basically how this Mossbauer absorption happens. So they have absorption of these high energy things, and then it's basically like a reverse of that. Very interesting stuff going on with cold fusion. So cold fusion, basically, 1 cup of water would power New York City for a year. If you had 1 cup of deuterium, 1 cup of heavy water would power all of New York City and probably the world for a year. I forget all the numbers. They're all in the beginning of that lecture I have put out by Mitchell Schwartz, and he goes over all the calculations for it. It's deuterium fusion. The energy comes from mass. It's converting a part of the mass energy into energy. So it's mass to energy. It's not free energy in the sense that it comes from nowhere or nothing. None of this technology is. It's energy that comes from somewhere, and it's ways to manipulate it, and using physics that we don't really quite understand or know yet. But this is the best explanation I've found for how they create energy. We have evidence of it in 30 years of literature from a huge community, including the U.S. Navy, who've published numerous papers on it. I've been to the colloquium conferences. I posted a whole bunch of stuff about this. Coldfusionnow.org is a good website for resources on more cold fusion information, and basically it explains why UFOs are attracted to bodies of water, why they go in lakes or the ocean bed or Shag Harbor or any number of these incidents that where UFOs have been reported going into the water, remaining there for long periods of time, and then leaving the water, even taking water out of. There's even reports of them taking water out of water towers. So they seem to be attracted for water. One theory is put forward in a book. One of my colleagues said that there was a book, I think Paul Potter or one of these other electromagnetic drives, that said that the propulsion, the fuel, water was used for propulsion, um, and that these water molecules are like homopolar motors or something, and they're also nonlinear optical materials. Just why water's clear. Um, Interesting, a lot of interesting theories on that, but it doesn't explain why they keep having to come back to water. It's obviously being used up, and if it's being used up, it's probably for fuel, which would make more sense than being used for in the direct propulsion system itself. I think that the propulsion system would be more like these materials with these nonlinear optical materials with these more remarkable optical properties, something a little bit better than water. Um, but water is certainly an interesting compound with a lot of interesting properties. But yeah, oh man, I didn't even see the live my live feed was shit crap. Let me put this down. So anyways, this cold fusion experiments, we have 30 years of that. It's not free energy, but it's basically free energy because it turned the world's oceans into bottomless fuel tanks essentially. You could run, one cup of water. You could run all of the, all in New York City for a year on. There's a lot of cups of water in the ocean. You can, it's a lot of power for free. If we could find a way to extract it and bank on it, which is a whole technical engineering issue. There's a lot of issues with this, a lot of work going on to figure out how to produce enough heat that you can boil water, a usable amount of energy to get energy from it. But anyways, that's what I think UFOs use for their power source, because it would explain a lot of these sightings, a lot of the events that have happened around water with USOs and others. But again, how do we do that? How do we figure this out? I think it's got to be related to these other theories of the atomic physics of quantum mechanics and quantum gravity as well, because quantum gravity might have something to do with that interaction. If there's some way to manipulate quantum gravity, increase that force, increase that effect somehow, I think that could have a lot to do with it. But quantum gravity's key, guys. Go watch. I'm gonna leave this off for tonight because it's getting late and I gotta work tomorrow. I already fell asleep and I woke up late, and but I need help getting these servers. Anyone who wants to contribute with a server or a place where we can store files, and anyone who would like to be sent a flash drive with the stuff on it, get in touch with me. I'm thinking I might put a thing up for the beginning, for the first part, and just sell the flash drive so I can make a little bit of revenue to support some of the other things I want to do. That might happen. So I'm figure out how I'm going to go forward tomorrow and the next day, and hopefully we can get this up on July 4th. At least something for people to download and start with some kind of freedom of information kind of disclosures or whatnot. But check out this Leonard Susskind new video. Why is quantum gravity key? And this, of course, the geometric unity. His first look at it, and we're waiting for more than the first look. This is super fascinating, and I love what Eric Weinstein and Stephen Wolfram are doing right now and putting together. I think that this Harvard, MIT and Harvard are coming around, and I'm hoping to take part in more of that. Maybe when we get this disclosure and data dump, if we can get some, I want to basically, if I can get some money raised for this disclosure data dump, I want to buy a bunch of these flash drives and put all my files on every one of these flash drives, right? And I want to basically put them around in all the physics departments at Harvard and MIT. I want to share these things. Like, I want to make sure they get it to these top academic institutions and the universities. I want to make sure they're reaching the professors and the students. And this is where we need to hit it hard, because we need to take down the two pillars we need to crash. There's a couple pillars we need to crash. All the pillars, basically all the pillars of modern belief systems, and we need to crash them all and replace them with something much better, a much better understanding of things. Not just not like quantum gravity. Definitely, basically, what Einstein said, Einstein's theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. We need to smash those down and replace them with a more fundamental theory of everything. This more mathematical, more basic geometric unity theory, which I think we're very close to doing now. And I'm still doing my investigations. Once that happens, there's going to be even more investigations to figure out who and figured out in the past and when and all that, because there's other theories that other people have figured it out in the past. This is certainly very interesting equations, and the how the graviton pops out of this is very similar to kind of how it does in some of the models that we've come up with and created. Basically, this so-called problem of time. There was a very interesting approach that Dirac took, and I'm reviewing a lot of Dirac's work on this too, because Paul Adrian Maurice Dirac, or Pam Dirac, he kind of created this formalism where he was looking at it in terms of velocities and changing velocities. So if it's because all these velocities change over all these systems that you don't have unity, and you can't figure out a unity in these theories, which I kind of pointed out in that whole 10 years ago with the transitional quantum state. Where does the atom go? Where does the photon go when it goes into the atom? And where does the photon come from when it's emitted from the atom? And the answer is that there's mechanical vibrations in the electron structure of the electron cloud of the atom, and when that electron cloud is released, it couples with the vacuum in a certain way through this quantum transition, to basically transfer that momentum of the electron to the vacuum as a photon. Very interesting what's going on there in the whole process of this, but it's a system of these information exchanges, essentially, where basically everything's telling each other where it is and how it is, and it's all done through a system of entanglement and quantum entanglement, that when we try to do experiments and look at it from the outside, we get quantum mechanics, we get the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and we get a bunch of these weird effects. But it's a consequence of our measurements and the ways that we're trying to interpret the structures of these things, which is why we're getting mixed results, and trying to come to terms with what we're doing wrong, and how we can fix it is very confusing, because it's a different the geometric world down there is very, very strange, very different. And if people want to get involved in that, they can get into look up polyhedral combinatorics, because there's a whole field of mathematics called combinatorics, and it's how things combine to make other things, and ways that other things combine together to make things. Very interesting, very wide-ranging field of math, and polyhedral combinatorics is what creates the universe. It's basically the generating source code for the matrix, for the network, for the grid. It's just a matter of figuring out how this grid forms particles, and that whole particle grid interaction. That's the question. That's why I like Phoenix theory. Definitely diving into more theories like this. We live in a grid. It's a discrete matrix. It's not this continuous space-time. Space-time is chunky. It's made of little discrete quanta or chunks. And it isn't like Nassim Haramein said, it's infinite all the way down, turtles all the way down. We can keep zooming into this thing, and it keeps going over and over, and again, like a fractal, all the way down and all the way up to infinity. It's not like that. It's got a bottom. It's very chunky at the bottom. It's discrete, and it behaves like a quantum computer, almost like a simulation. It's very much like a simulation. Simulation theory is very close and very much related to a lot of this stuff. But polyhedral combinatorics will give you all those. So you can look up polyhedra. Polyhedra will give you all the polyhedra. There's these things called Coxeter-Dinkin diagrams, which will show you all the different. That's basically a notation for how these symmetries work and these connectivity, these combinatoric symmetries work. And it shows you all of the different things you can make with them, including, all the different shapes, all the different, in different dimensions as well, going all, not just in 3 dimensions or 2 dimensions, but all the way up to to higher dimensions, all the way up, and it shows you how it's all connected geometrically in terms of these combinatorics. And I think when we combine combinatorics with a lot of the other math in physics that we're going to start getting, we're going to get to the bottom floor. We're going to get beneath the ground floor where Einstein is, and we're going to get to the bottom. We're going to get to the basement and figure out what's in the basement and how the basement is operating. And that's where we're at, man. That's what's up. So hopefully you all enjoyed this and learned some shit, and you know, at least learn where to show our kids where to find the information, because I never knew this stuff growing up. This was never taught to me in school. This was never shown to me in any of my math classes. And if it was shown, this was shown to me in middle school math class instead of all the bullshit my fucking teachers in public school showed me. I probably would have been a lot more interested in math, and I probably would have taken math a lot more seriously in those early years when my brain was fucking a lot more apt for learning and understanding and picking this shit up than it is now at almost 40. So hopefully we can teach our kids, this stuff from a young age, and really show them, get them on this at a younger age, man, because it would, the future generation, man, is fucked. The way these kids are, they're just learning. They spend all day on their fucking cell phones. They don't know, and the education, the quality of the education system, and the things that they're teaching, it's just, oh my god, it's just gone so downhill. Um, Something needs to be done, man. We got to turn society. We're headed for idiocracy. It is becoming a documentary, dude. Idiocracy is becoming a freaking documentary as we speak. It really is. It's like a parody, about how crazy it is, but it's like so literally close to almost there right now. It's funny. It's funny sometimes, man. Um, hey, and I'm an idiot too. I'm looking at all these really smart people who figured all this stuff out, and I'm just like, man, I really wish I could explain this and do this more justice and do this better, man. But I wish I got into this at fucking 18 instead of at 38, 20 years later. It just really kills me that the young people, today's generation, aren't talking about any of this stuff. They don't know any of this stuff. And I look at who's got the big following in the physics, in UFO community, and it just drives me fucking insane. It's like, this is. Sorry. I won't go on about the people that I don't like. I'm just going to go on about positive shit and where we need to learn rather than all the people we don't need to listen to. These are the people you do need to listen to. I'm stop telling you who not to listen to, and I'll show you the people you do need to listen to and learn from, because there's some real smart people out there that really figured some shit out, man, and there's people we should be listening to and learning from instead of some of the teachers we have out there preaching it. So, in any case, it's been fun, and no, I don't think anyone's, dude. It's just dumbing us down, man. We haven't been shown the right information, and there's been a systematic method of indoctrination and stupefying us. So it's not that people are genuinely stupid. It's just it's really the quality of education and what happens to a human mind when we become so convinced and so like stuck in our ways. It's just the nature of our brains, you know. Very interesting stuff I'm finding. What is that? Oh, I just downloaded it too. This CIA document. Yeah, let's bring that one up. I just downloaded this. I want to show people this. This was just someone just found this, or if it was just declassified or released. It's a 9th June 1983 Department of the Army Intelligence and Security Command out of George Meade, Maryland, Fort Meade. Analysis and assessments of gateway process is what it's called. This gateway process. So this is kind of like related to the remote viewing stuff, which I'm not really a big fan on because it does not. It's never been shown to work with a an acceptable degree of accuracy that we could scientifically attribute an actual phenomenon to it. So definitely might be something that, you know, like I'm always wondered about, you know, like super intelligences and aliens, you know, how they could put voices inside your head or read your thoughts or other things like that. So there's definitely some interesting stuff in the future for this, but you know, this is a I don't know if I there's some interesting stuff in this document. I'll put it that way, and including some frequency stuff, which I'm going to have to check with the ICNIRP .org data and all that, their studies and stuff to see if there's any confirmation there. Um, this seems like an, you know, 83 interesting document, but again, it talks about this wave equation in the universe, which is what which is what that Wheeler DeWitt equation is. It's basically taking the Schrodinger equation and applying it to the entire universe. You know, what's the wave equation for the universe? Is kind of what they're doing, which is interesting. It shows that we're all kind of connected through quantum entanglement in some way, um, and that there may be ways to basically connect the mind with other physical parts of the universe. Interesting stuff. Not quite there yet, as far as I've seen with the data that's come out of these, you know, experiments and stuff. But a lot of interesting research has been done into this, and a lot of interesting people have worked on this. And again, always check the bibliographies and read up on this stuff. So Einstein against the odds. That's interesting. I'll have to check that one out. John Glideman. All right, more cool stuff, man. So keep digging in, keep digging, and keep finding stuff. And when we do this data dump, man, hopefully we can get some people behind it. Email me if you're interested in, or you know how to set up a server. You can set up a server and give me information or access to where I can post files and stuff. And I want to set up a thing. We'll start spreading this and sharing it, man, and getting some real information out on a whole bunch of interesting stuff that oh, wait till you see what's in this data dump. Oh man, I'll just let the fucking intelligence agencies watching this hope and wonder and be scared and hope that they hope that nobody pays attention to this and people still just focus. Maybe we'll put out some Bob Lazar stuff, or maybe on July 4th we'll release that New York Times article that you know, Knapp's been sitting on. And you know, I guarantee they're gonna do. You know, something's gonna happen that's gonna distract away from this, and with some new fake revelation or fake whistleblower or these, you know, anonymous sources. Seems like everything that's happened in ufology lately has been like these anonymous sources that leak the information only to people on Twitter, but don't give any, you know, sources or references or anyone, you know, any kind of like way to track down the source, you know, but they leak to these people on Twitter only, and it's just kind of crazy. Just kind of crazy, the stuff that I see going around lately, and man, we need to get back on track. So back on track. There's so much more going on. I just got to know where to look. And have a good night, and keep searching. I'd love to see what the UFO community comes up with related to this. And yeah, Ringmakers of Saturn, Norman Bergium. Let's see if anyone's got any used torrent. Torrent, tell us the URL of the torrent file. Oh yeah, I could do that. Get a torrent file or Reddit. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll really have to I'll have to downsize some of my collection because I got a lot of a lot of the big files are like graduate texts. I have a lot of graduate school or graduate level physics texts and stuff like that, and including undergraduate physics texts. I got like all the best physics books and like textbooks for physics I got, and those take up a lot of those take up a lot of room. And also, I don't think they're I can post those up without, there might be some copyright violations on that stuff. So I'm gonna have to go through and sift my collection and sort it down. So we're not posting stuff that could, potentially get us in copyright violation. I just want to post stuff that's, that's not gonna, or whatever. Anyways, have a good night, guys. I'll check the comments after the stream and we can chat for a little bit. And let's check it out. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.